All right, welcome to another episode of Project M. I am Tanner Guzzi here with my co-host Brandon King.
Hi, everyone.
And today, you guys get a special episode today because, the reason we're talking about this with you guys is because this is part of this process, and we told you from the get-go that we were going to be transparent. We were going to have some fun, kind of explaining all this. I was editing a recording of this episode, and it just sounded like absolute garbage. I don't know what happened with the mics. We had already had problems with the cameras because we're going to do a better camera setup than this, but it just was none of it was working. And so I texted Brandon, and basically, thankfully, he was like 5 minutes away, and it's like, let's just record this now.
Emergency re-record.
And so when you guys are hearing this, you're just getting this like the day after it's recorded. So before we jump into today's topic, which is all about the first follower principle, which is one that we will be excited to flesh out.
Interesting.
Let's do a challenge check-in, especially because tomorrow is the day that we go do the Bod Pod tomorrow, first thing in the morning. So, how's your progress been with this?
It's good. I'll admit I'm hungry today. I'm going hard. Final day, like trying to
lose that last little bit of fat.
Little bit. So yeah, I've been light on the food today.
Oh man, how's the workouts and everything else?
No, but yeah, workouts are good. As far as this month's goal and challenge this month, whatever the Bod Pod,
current,
the current challenge. Feeling good about it.
Good.
No doubts that we're going to hit. I think I said 10 pounds, right? So no doubts there. Reed, I already hit it. So
yes!
As long as I don't, just like do something stupid tonight.
Don't screw up tonight.
Chuckarama tonight or whatever.
Chuckarama. All right. This partnership's over.
Yeah, no. We'll be fine there. And then, the Hustle 100 is good. Let's see. So... got the portfolio done. Like I said, that was supposed to be like something that should have taken, 100 days, and that was going to be a stretch. But some things came up. I pulled a long weekend and just got it done, and it was hellish. It was not fun, but it feels good to just have that ready to go.
Good.
And I learned some things. There's some topics that I think we can talk about. Some future episodes of what I learned through that 4-day push.
Awesome.
Anyway, so that's good. Man, the no sugar thing. I'm so focused on like this Bod Pod thing that when I'm eating, I don't even think. I'm just thinking like minimal calories. I'm not thinking about what they are. So I've slipped up there.
Gotcha.
A couple times.
I'm really curious to see how that's going to transition once we're done with tomorrow, and then that can become a focus in and of itself.
Yeah. So I think it will.
Yeah.
That's what I'm. No, it will.
Good.
It will.
Good. That's good. Good mindset shift there, right?
Slipped up there. I'll admit, but it's just I've been going really hard on just eating less, not so much what. Anyway, running going well. Put in a couple good days last week. I think we'll make it. It's going to get cold.
Yeah, it's going to change things.
What are my other ones?
You're hitting the gym every day.
The gym every day is going good.
Getting in your running.
Sugar.
That's basically it.
I think
you're making good progress.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Good.
It's so good. Yeah,
good.
Coming into this part of the year, it's going to get tough.
I love this momentum that we're going to be finishing off with.
Yeah. How about you?
Things are going really well. In fact, it's kind of a benefit of having to re-record this because when we did this the same time a few days ago, I was feeling a little bit discouraged about where I was with the Bod Pod Challenge, and then yesterday. Every month, Bracaley and I will do progress photos, we'll take measurements, we'll do everything else. The scale hasn't really moved for me that much.
Yeah.
But I've lost another half inch off my waist. And noticeable difference in my progress pictures from yesterday and a month ago. So, I don't know if I'm going to hit where I am, but I know it's definitely going to be lower than where it was. And so, it's all really good progress in the right direction, which is exciting. With my Hustle 100, totally consistent, 100% on Come Follow Me every day, which has been great.
Talk about how you did that in the airport.
Yeah, so we did that. Man, we did that a couple. I have an even better story for you about this. Okay. So again, for you guys who are just coming in, this is basically like scripture study with my family. And in order to make this a priority, especially because I've been traveling with clients for the last couple weeks, I've had to like call in, and we've done that via FaceTime as I've been in the airport, like waiting for Uber to come pick me up or anything else. And then we had a night, I think it was on Friday night, that Bracaley and I are praying, getting ready to go to bed, and I realize it's like, oh crap, we didn't do it. It's like 11:30.
No, and the kids are asleep.
So we went in and woke them up.
No, you did
we
not.
did. You got to do it perfect.
Bravo. That's so great.
They were not too jazzed about it.
Oh, that's so great.
Trying to at least introduce the idea, if you're going to commit to something, do it. And so it was, nothing was really retained. They were half asleep but we did it.
Do you think that they learned the message that when Dad says he's going to do something.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so, because ultimately at that point, at that night, it was not about the quality of it. It was just about, we said we were going to do it. We're going to do it. And we did it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it was, I feel really good about that. And it was funny because even throughout this weekend, Berkeley's been like, yeah, it was kind of funny that you were going to be that diehard about it. But she's really appreciative that it's like, no, we say we're going to do something. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
So that's been going really well. Man, making 50K. I'm already at like 15.
All right.
Yeah. So that's off to a great start.
Great start.
Yeah. So that's been fantastic. Clients have been really good. I love the new guys that I've signed on. And I'm really excited with those guys. Really, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to hit the deadlift just fine. Bumped it to 385. Belt is coming in, working on more form correction and stuff like that. So that should be just fine. And then getting down to the sub 10% on body fat. Yeah, just continuing to make progress. So we are definitely like geared up to make this work.
Yeah, let us know how you guys are doing. We want to see progress.
Yes, hashtag Hustle
whatever
100.
they are.
Right.
Hashtag Hustle 100.
Yeah, and that's what's been fun is we've had a few guys kind of trickle in. And the thing that we want to bring up is if you're just finding out about this now, it doesn't matter that there are fewer than 100 days left. Start now.
Yeah.
Pick 3, 4, 5 things. We're actually going to have a link for you where you can go download the tracker sheet that Brandon designed and go download it, get started, and let us know what your goals are, what your progress is. Are you going to show this? Yeah. Yes. Okay. So Brandon's going to pick this up for you guys who are just listening on the audio. This is a good excuse for you to start following on YouTube so that you can see this, and it doesn't need to print up that big, but we're doing it that way for us. Anyway, today what we want to dive in as far as the topic of conversation is this idea of the first follower principle.
Yeah, this is interesting.
It is, and it's one that I'm sure other people have written about, but I've never really found anything. In fact, I found out about this idea from a conversation with a brother of mine, because the example that he uses, my brother has no social fear whatsoever. He's totally willing to just make a fool out of himself and be very confident doing so that he doesn't really make a fool out of himself. Right. But the example that he always gives about this is, he's a young age. He's recently married. All of his friends are getting married. He's been going to a bunch of weddings.
This is that brother.
This is that brother.
That's not the brother I thought it was.
No, this is that other brother. Okay. Yeah. So he will, without fail, he loves to dance. He's a good dancer.
Yeah.
And so he'll go out on the dance floor, and the big distinction between him being the only goofball that's out there dancing and it turning into a full-on dance party is if he can get 2 other people to join him.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the tipping point.
Is that the example he uses?
That's the one that he uses.
When I go dancing.
Exactly. When I'm dancing at a wedding, if I can get 2 other people to join me, game over, everybody's dancing, it's fun.
Yeah.
But if I'm the only moron who's out there by myself, then it lasts for all of a song, and then everybody else is just whatever, and he just kind of goes back to doing his own thing.
Right.
But I think that's such a key principle that obviously goes way into more than just dancing, because a lot of times we put so much energy and so much focus into the 0 to 1 or the guy who's really going to break the mold. And you need, especially if it's anything related to a movement or adoption or anything else like that, you can't just be the one guy. You need at least 2 other people, your first followers, in order for it to really gain the momentum that it's going to.
Yeah, it's an interesting principle, and I think we saw this with the rut.
Yeah,
totally, 100%, right? You were out there, you were fighting the fight, but I don't know, maybe you can talk about it. But I think from my perception, for a while there, it fizzled multiple times. Until me and Gary and I really committed to it.
Absolutely.
And from there, we rolled up. We're up to 6, whatever we're at right now. Which is some good momentum, right?
Absolutely. And it's consistent.
Yeah.
We now do it every other week without fail, as opposed to 3 or 4 consistent times in a row, and then we're off for 3 months.
And it's a lot easier for me to talk about it in those terms, in that me and a couple guys, as opposed to, I really think it's important that guys hang out together. And, but when I can say, I have a group of friends, and I could say that when it was 3 of us.
Absolutely.
Me and a group of friends get together every other week.
Right.
And we go get wings. And that's, it just sounds more normal.
Exactly.
I can talk about it. It's much easier. It's more
natural. Well, and I think that there's even this idea of social proof.
Right.
Because then it's a concept that's already been proven, because to get one guy to get on board is very different than to get 3 or more guys on board. And so if you can get 3 or more, then all of a sudden it's just okay, there's something here. And so for other people to want to jump on, there's less of a risk.
Right.
And so it's a lot easier. So you've got your first mover, you've got your first followers, then your early adopters, and then something becomes mainstream and everything else. And it's sad how much we focus on that first guy to the detriment of giving credit where it's due to the you and the Gary,
right.
or the guys who are the ones who are willing to follow the crazy entrepreneur and actually be the first or second employee. And the wages aren't great and the benefits aren't great. And there are huge risks, even though you may be getting a regular paycheck, whereas the guys who start the business aren't.
Right.
But there's still commensurate risks, and there should be commensurate recognition for that.
And I think sometimes there is, and I think this is just a good dynamic to recognize, because sometimes you don't want to be the first guy.
Totally.
Speaking in business terms, right? Like maybe you don't want to be the Elon Musk or the whoever it is, the Zuckerberg or whatever that leads out with their crazy idea, but you do.
Or maybe you don't even have the crazy idea.
Yeah, maybe you don't have the crazy idea. Maybe you don't have the charisma. Maybe you don't have the desire, the whatever it is, the outgoing personality to be that leader. But you've got some solid backup skills and the desire to come into some project like that where there is the risk of failure.
Right.
There is, the challenges that come with being
the autonomy and the potential rewards.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe your role is better, and the rewards can be. I mean, you get what 90% of the reward.
Maybe it's not your face on the cover of a magazine, but you get all the equity in the company.
Right. Yeah, maybe you don't care about your face.
Exactly, right? And so even for different personality types or people who value things differently, this can be a much better position than having to be the first guy, the main public face, the one who's kind of the tip of the spear, but to still be in early and get so many of the benefits and embrace so many of the risks that come in with that.
Right. So I think it's just important, maybe not to jump to the punch too early, but it's very important to recognize the dynamic and recognize, where do I want to be? Do I want to be a leader? Do I want to be right up front, taking the risk? Do I want to be the guy that has to shoulder the responsibility of getting those 1, 2, my first, second, third followers? Do I want to find that crazy guy out there? Do I want to be the guy that's going to jump on this first guy's idea and run with it? Or maybe you don't want any part of that, and you just want, but you need to be able to recognize what sort of movement you want to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Different types of movements can use this principle to get rolling. Maybe some aren't worthy of your attention.
Absolutely, because that's such a good point. Because just because you recognize, okay, I'm a first follower, and this particular movement, business, group of friends, social media app, whatever, is in a good position and they need a first follower and I can help build this, doesn't mean that that's good enough reason on its own for you to help build it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you, as somebody who is more comfortable in that position than being the tip of the spear guy, how do you determine that? As far as what are the things that you look at that make you go, okay, there's enough value in this, or I can see enough potential in this that I'm actually going to make the move. I'm going to assume some of the risk on it.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm perfect here, because I think a lot of these decisions have been subconscious.
But that's a really good point too, because it can't be that you have this perfect logical formula that's fail proof, and then you can just plug everything into the algorithm and you're good to go. There is a lot of, again, willingness to try and not have it work out.
Right.
But what have you noticed as far as trends and that kind of stuff?
Well, so you look at I've gotten on just social movements like minimalism or whatever, right? There's these leaders out there that are I don't know who came up with that first or whatever, but there's these spokespeople that are out there, and that is enough in the zeitgeist right now that it's really easy to just jump in on that and dig in and consume all the stuff. So I think the branding of a movement or the branding of anything, it's easy. I'm not going to say to fall for, because I don't think it's
it's not always a bait and switch or something, right?
But I think that is an example of one of these things where it's I'm not going to say that I identify or don't identify with that particular movement, but it's one of those things where it certainly got critical mass and rolled with, and I was quick, or it was easy for me to get into that and dive in.
Yeah, so you weren't necessarily a first follower, but you were an early adopter.
I don't know if
you were one step. Yeah, but okay. But yes, it's in the zeitgeist enough, at least within the spheres that we influence. Yeah. But I bet if you were to go ask your parents, or if you were to go ask groups of other, just because it seems like it's totally saturated for us, doesn't mean that everybody knows what minimalism is,
right.
or has seen the minimalism documentary, or knows how to build a wardrobe, or design an apartment or something that fits into that.
Anyway. Yeah, I don't know if I have an answer to how do I choose. I do think it just comes down to the whole intentionality thing, right? You just have to you have to know what you're about, what you're looking for, have some good goals, and see if things are gonna, this particular whatever it is going to get you where you think you want to go.
Yeah. Well, okay. The other thing that I'm wondering as I think more about this, because I guess we can look at it from two different perspectives, especially for you guys who are listening or watching, and if you're interested in something in regards to, I don't, starting a group of friends, maybe it's starting a business, starting a podcast, so many other things that you're starting.
Yeah.
And I guess the two different things to look at is if you're more like me, where you're more of the guy who's willing to kind of take the risk and you want to be the front man in the band or something like that. How do you find guys who are going to be good first followers? And then for somebody who's more like you, how do you find the kind of guys who are going to be willing to take on that kind of risk and do that kind of thing?
Right. Yeah, I think I'm going to use the rut as an example to answer that, because it's where I probably have, I don't know, I think it's pertinent to...
It's most transferable.
Yeah, pertinent to people listening, and also, I don't know, most relevant to me. So I think as we've tried to find people to come to the rut, as I've looked at like other places I could apply what we've got to the rut, in terms of like, oh, I want to start mountain biking. Like, how do I get a group of guys to go mountain biking or whatever? I think what specifically the rut, it's come down to the principle of the thing. If I try and tell guys like, hey, we have a group and we go get wings every week, and the group is about getting wings, like no one cares.
Right.
Even if it's about like, we go archery, whatever, do archery. Whatever.
Yeah, we go do archery, sure.
We go do archery every week.
Which is this week's plan.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah.
We go do things like you would do in Scout. However you try and describe it, it never sticks until you get down to the root of the principle with them.
Gotcha.
And you say, I get together with a group of guys because we think it's important that guys get together and hang out as friends. And like, because I've tried to like prance around that fact for the reasons that we've talked about. Like, it's
easy to get self-conscious about it. Yeah. You don't want to necessarily appear too overeager or anything like that.
Yeah. Don't want to say that. But the more I prance around about it, the more convoluted and like confused they get. Whereas if you just get down to the principle, it either resonates or it doesn't resonate with people. They're either going to say, okay, yeah, that's something I believe in as well, and come join in, or they're not. But
right.
So I think if you're looking for followers, if you're in that position, you've got to get down to, well, what is my X about?
Yes.
And just be ready to pitch that.
Cool.
Like directly, like your 30-second elevator pitch that really gets to the heart of the why of what you're trying to do.
That makes a lot of sense, because it's something that's unfamiliar for people. It's not something that is in the zeitgeist or that's just easily identifiable as another thing that other people are doing. So you don't have enough social proof that's built into it.
Right.
And so it does have to be something that's built on principles or on ideas or on meaning or anything else like that.
And it's transparent, right?
Right. Right. And I think that's a good distinction, because the guys who are willing to be the first and second followers in something are also the kind of guys who are willing to invest a little bit more when it comes to things of meaning. They're willing to take that risk, as opposed to just, well, I'm only doing this because if otherwise I'm going to look like an idiot. It's not just self-protection.
Right.
There's a little bit of risk, and there's a willingness to embrace that kind of risk.
Yeah, there is risk in these moves. Like we've talked about with the business, right? Being the CTO, the whatever that's not the CEO, the guy backing the CEO. Like there's risk there, and just because it's not as public risk, like you better be committed to that business. Like you better believe in the mission if you're about to drop your job to go, commit the next 8 years or whatever it is to building that business. Yeah. So I think that one of the interesting questions to me is like whether this gives like if this is an optimistic or pessimistic view as to what it takes to get something done, no matter what it is.
Interesting. I didn't think about it through that lens.
Like, is this, if you're trying to start something and you've got, you look at it and you say, I need to get 2 people to come with me.
Yeah, I did not think about it that way, as far, because I'm more likely to see it as optimism, where it's just all I need is 2 other guys, and then the momentum can build there.
Which is probably the better way to see it.
Right.
No matter what you're taking on.
Right, because again, when I think about the idea of trying to start a group of friends, and especially for me, it was even bigger than that, where it's how do you build a tribe?
Right.
And what does that look like, and how many people is that? And that's really daunting. But then when you think of, well, all I got to do is get 2 guys, and we can just hang out consistently, and we can have meaning, and we can value each other's friendship, and we can push each other to be better. That's really simple.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's a takeaway, is if you're a person who's like me, who is a first mover as opposed to a first follower, all you got to do is find 2 other guys.
Yeah.
Whereas for somebody like you, it's, I got to find the right kind of guy that I actually want to jump on board with, that I know isn't going to be a total skis ball, and he's just going to see me as a means to an end or something else like that.
Yeah, which might be more challenging actually in some aspects.
Probably, because Yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I think guys like you are in a harder position than guys like I am.
I still haven't found a guy that's
not a skis ball. I know, right? Can't wait until I drop you off somewhere. You don't know what's coming. Okay, so I think that it's for me, I love conversations like this. I love ideas like this because being able to identify something makes it much simpler.
Yeah, and having a name for it.
Right. Because then when we can look at this through the lens of, I'm trying to get to know other guys in my neighborhood better. Okay, I got to find 2 other guys who are interested in doing that. And then all of a sudden it's easier to gain some momentum there.
Right.
Or as we try and find other guys who are, okay, so this morning we just went on the morning brew with Hunter Drew.
Yeah.
You could say that he is kind of a first follower when it comes to validating the idea of Project M.
Yeah.
Right? We get somebody like him, we get 1, maybe 2 other guys who bring us onto the show, and then all of a sudden for all their followers and for the guys that we're promoting stuff to, it's like, oh, there's a little bit of credibility because Project M has now been adopted by these 2 or 3 other people. Yeah. And so we can look at it through that lens of it's not, we have to build this totally massive organic audience on our own, but it's how do we find 1 or 2 other key guys now that we've already tapped into Hunter's audience. And again, it's not seeing Hunter or these other guys as a means to an end. No. I don't see you as a means to an end, or vice versa. But it's just how do you find the kind of people that you want to align with that you can actually be complementary with to make this thing happen?
Right, like you said. I think that's a great point. That you have to recognize the principle and then kind of see how their momentum's going, and then recognize because it's a little bit. To borrow your phrase, you said this first last time we recorded. This it's an amoral principle, right? It can get applied on both sides of the street,
right? Awesome. Okay, so I hope that for you guys who are listening, you can now identify this and think about it in the regards of whether, again, you're trying to build up your own friend group, you're trying to do something in regards to social media. Honestly, even from a family perspective, think about how much easier it is when you and your wife are on the same page.
Exactly.
Then it's you and then your wife and your kids.
Yeah. Or I don't know, depending on how many kids you have, like you get your wife, 1 kid.
Right. Holy cow, because you're right. Even as I think about my own kids, and I get one of them to kind of jump on board with something that we're doing, that my wife and I, we recruit one of them, the dominoes just start to fall so much more naturally.
Yeah.
So I love that there are myriad applications for this, and it doesn't just apply to business or it doesn't just apply to friends, but when you think about any sort of social dynamic or social group, if you can recruit 2 other people, or if you can be one of those 2 other people and find somebody worthy enough that you can jump on board with, then that's where there's so many potential benefits and so many potential rewards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay, guys, I would love to hear how you've seen this play out in your own lives, especially if you have, and if, like us, this was an idea that it just kind of clicked as soon as you put a name on, where it's like, oh, yeah, I've seen that my whole life.
Yeah, it's like, you guys are just figuring this out.
Right.
Like, I'm sure people
totally. There's probably a whole different name about this. There's probably already 6 different books and whatever. But if this is the case for you, if you know about something like that, let us know because we would love to know the content.
Or other examples. I would love to see other examples.
Definitely other examples. So I hope you guys enjoy this episode, especially because, again, this is a fun little special episode.
It was better this time.
It was better this time, so that's a good thing, too. And we will talk to you guys on the next one.
See you guys.